Hi, everyone. I'm Shanna Groves. I am with Liberating Mom and the Definitely Talking podcast, welcoming you to our latest episode. Today, joining me is my guest, Dr. Michelle Hu. Michelle is a hard of hearing audiologist, storyteller, and mama on a mission. She is the founder of Mama Who Hears, where she bridges the gap between hearing parents and their deaf, hard of hearing children. She offers heart centered education, real talk, and advocacy because she's walked the journey from patient to professional. And now she helps families feel less alone, more empowered. And she offers workshops and hug at a conference at a time. She's a dance in the living room kind of mom. She has children, and they are quite young. She has a sparkle with substance speaking background, and she is the go-to person when you need support beyond what is clinical, but more compassionate too, because of her life experience. Michelle is changing the world one caption story at a time. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. All right. Well, Michelle, I'm going to go ahead and start off. Can you tell us more about your hearing loss story? Like, was it genetic or is it something that progressed over time? Do you have family history? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. The etiology or the cause of my hearing loss are two syndromes. One is enlarged vestibular aqueduct syndrome, or EVAS, and Pendred syndrome. Both are recessive gene syndromes. So my parents were carriers, and then 1 in 4 or 25% chance, and that was me, would have that type of hearing loss. And both are related to progressive hearing loss. So for me, I was born with mild hearing loss, but it wasn't identified until about age 3 or 4. It's only because back in 1983, they didn't do hearing screenings at the hospitals. So it was my preschool teacher who said, Mrs. Hu, your daughter's sneaking off during story time. She's not causing trouble, but I don't think she can hear me read the story, and she's just doing something on her own. Every time I bumped my head, my hearing would get worse. My hearing aids would need to be reprogrammed, or more powerful hearing aids needed to be purchased. And eventually I was severe to profound by age 10. My parents said that they were told I was a cochlear implant candidate back then, but they just weren't ready with the technology where it was. And they felt I was doing well. They're like, well, she's getting straight A's, she's doing good in school. They didn't know how much effort I was putting in back then. Uh, I went to school to become an audiologist, and that's when I discovered cochlear implants on my own and decided to get it in my worst ear, in my left ear. And then I got my other one 3 years later when I was an audiologist at the Children's Hospital. And here I am. I'm actually, though, learning sign language with my family, with my children now. All of my children are hearing, but they will be carriers of that recessive gene. So if they want to in the future, they can ask their parent or their spouses or their co-parents to just take a saliva test and see if they have that gene, and 1 in 4 chance of their kids will have the same syndrome as me, or if they won't.
Right. Well, that's
Mhm.
interesting you bring up that type of test to see if you're a genetic carrier.
Mhm.
And maybe some of our podcast guests that are listening or watching don't even know about that test. Can you kind of point us in the direction of how you found out about that? Obviously, you're an audiologist, so you are on the cutting edge of testing technology. But for those of us who are not audiologists, can you share the best way for us to find out if we're carriers of
Yeah.
genetic hearing loss?
So typically, when a child gets identified, the parents, see an ENT as well as audiology. An ENT will look for request for or refer for scans to see if the anatomy is looking okay inside there, and they might do some blood tests if parents and them are interested in seeing, is this something that is genetic? Is it congenital? Is it genetic? Is it something that runs in the family potentially? Sometimes parents don't need that. They don't need a reason to blame, but some parents do. And it's kind of like, would you like to know, would it change how you do anything? in the past or in the future. My parents didn't find out until I was about 10 years old, and I had about 3 to 4 drops about every 2 years. My hearing would drop from hitting my head or just something like coughing too hard. And they were kind of like, oh, this is why every 2 years this is happening, versus just sitting there waiting, like, is it going to happen again? Is she going to wake up and come into our room and say, Mommy, I can't hear again?
Mm-hmm.
So some people like to know, some parents like to know, some don't. Usually a blood test, they can just see if you have connexin. You can see if you have certain genes that are genetically predisposed to different types of hearing loss. Not all hearing losses are progressive. Some, they're all very different natures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that I'm also asking personally too, because we do have genetic hearing loss in my family on my dad's side. My dad, I don't know, might have been a carrier of it, but he had typical hearing, and so did my mom.
Mhm.
But two of his siblings, he was the middle of five kids. His younger brother and younger sister both were born with progressive hearing loss. Actually, one was more profound than the other, and it progressed over time to deafness. And then each one of my aunt and my uncle on that side, each had children, and they have one child each, which would be my cousins, who are considered deaf. Uh, Genetically. So I guess I'm the third cousin now that would be considered deaf. And I've always wondered, my dad is no longer alive. And so I don't have that living link to request that information, but I do keep in touch with my aunt. She's still living, and she doesn't know a lot about our family history either, to be honest with you. I think sometimes it's a mystery for those of us with hearing loss, and we just can't explain it. We don't know if there was a single issue or several issues, or again, it was just in the cards for us because of our family background. And a lot of us don't even know what that history is.
Yeah, only about like 30 to 40% of hearing loss can be exactly pinpointed. So that's where I kind of talk with the parents, like, is it going to make a difference of how you approach this? Is it going to make a difference of how you treat your child? Maybe it is something kind of like a peace of mind that you need, or just a piece of information that you need to settle down. But a lot of my work is getting parents to, your child is perfect. They have you, you're their parent, and they chose you for a reason. And guess what? It starts with your mindset,
Yeah.
because how you view your child's disability is significantly going to impact how they view their disability. So let's start with you. A lot of times parents get that diagnosis and then they kind of go down rabbit holes. They go into a spin and they don't take care of themselves first. Because who's your child's biggest supporter? Main environment is the parents at home who's with them 24/7. I tell parents a lot of the time speech therapy or auditory verbal therapy, if they choose to do that, is for the parents to learn what to do at home. If that therapy session is only half an hour, maybe 1 hour a week, and the rest of the time they're with you. So, how do you learn those skills to model and create that environment for your child to grow up in? That's what's going to significantly support and impact their child as they grow up.
And I've heard this many times because I have a master's in early childhood special education. I did my graduate work with programs for the deaf, hard of hearing, the children. And one of the things that was emphasized to me is just talk, talk to your children.
Yeah.
Make sure you have their attention, they can see you, and make listening, something that is engaging
Mhm.
to the
So
children.
communication, because if you think out loud while you're cooking, I'm going to cut the onions first, but I'm going to put the onions on the pan before I put the chicken because I want those onions caramelized. You're not exactly talking straight to your child, but they're like, I remember mom talking about when she did onions first. I'm going to do onions first and just, go from there. They get to learn from you, incidental learning, and they also get to stand on the shoulders of you to go even further beyond, versus everybody reinventing the wheel or starting from scratch every time.
Mm.
So what I'm trying to do with my journey is, let me give you my experience, take what works for you and leave what doesn't. And hopefully some of my tips and tricks, or my trials and tribulations or experiences could help you create the journey that you want to with your family dynamic.
Mm,
You guys know your child best. I don't. I'm just here to give you all of the resources, all of the information, kind of like taking a meal. Here's all the different spices or ingredients that you can use. Make it with your own flair.
wow, I love that. And also, I think audiologists have to wear a lot of hats. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's, you know, that support, that emotional support.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whether it is a child and family needs that support, the child needs the support, and then, as an adult with hearing loss, maybe a new hearing loss or a sudden hearing loss, they need someone who will listen and hopefully someone who gets it. And
Mm-hmm.
I know, Michelle, because of your lived experience, you do get it. And that makes you not only a credentialed professional, but you know what you're talking about from your life too.
Something that I get from my teenagers is you can say, I know, or I know what you mean. And not many parents can say that to their children. I mean, there's also that kid parent dynamic too. You don't want to listen to your parents because they're the ones who've been telling you what to do every day from day one.
Yeah.
But I love being able to see teenage patients and they just kind of relax. And I'm like, it's probably because they feel like I'm a peer. Sure, I'm the clinician, but absolutely, I can channel and I can still feel those deep emotions that I had growing up or in college or as a teenager. And they can just say, you know what, she's doing it. Okay, cool. I can do whatever I want now. And that is so heart filling for me when I see on a teen's face, they can get whatever dream that they've created. They can do it just with hard work, they
Right,
can set their
right.
mind to it.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm under the thought process that just because someone lives with hearing loss or deafness doesn't mean that their opportunities are any different or limited. It's just
Mm-hmm.
how do you embrace it, first of all? So it comes with that level of acceptance, both personal acceptance, and it would be great if your family or loved ones are accepting too.
Mm-hmm.
However, definitely the individual needs to accept that,
Mm-hmm.
go through the stages of grief if it is a gradual hearing loss and feel those feelings, but get to that level of acceptance. And then once you have that level of acceptance, advocate, advocate, advocate for yourself
Mm-hmm.
and get the accommodations to be successful,
Mm-hmm.
like what you have shown your patients too.
Mm-hmm. And all of that, including having grace for yourself. I understand when you want to pick your battles. Okay, you don't want to advocate at, this party or that restaurant. Okay, have some grace. You don't have to pick every single battle. Because a lot of times I see parents like, why aren't you saying anything? You missed that, you missed this. They want and it's come from good intention. They want their child to have access to every little piece of information and communication. But guess what? Hearing people don't hear everything either.
Yeah, no, we don't. And that is such a great topic that I actually want to shift a little bit into is communication.
Mm-hmm.
We now, when this podcast airs, we will be in the midst of a very busy holiday season filled with lots of, you know, activities that involve noise. And a lot of that involves people talking,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be at the dinner table or restaurant or just out and about, maybe parties, maybe you're getting a lot of phone calls or different things from people. And having a hearing loss, I know you and I can relate to this, is exhausting in itself. But when you add that layer of holiday busyness and noise, it's a lot. So, what are some suggestions that you would give to us who cannot hear well? And also for those who support
Mm-hmm.
those who cannot hear well to make their holiday communication experience as successful and positive as possible.
Absolutely. So for us, the deaf and hard of hearing people, be mindful of listening fatigue. Be mindful of what's going to drain your energy or what's going to actually fill your tank. Certain friends of mine fill my tank. It could be the way they talk. It could be what we're passionate about. You just have different dynamics with different people. So I know 5 minutes with my best friend, I'm going to feel on top of the world. I'm going to be ready to go. I'm just going to have so much energy. If I listen to a podcast about marketing statistics or something like that, oh my gosh, 30 seconds, and I'm probably going to need an hour or two rest to break and like refill that. So take a look and start now, take a look at different situations. Does yoga refill your tank? Does turning off your devices refill your tank? Does getting outside and getting a breath of fresh air help refill your tank? So you can put those in your pocket as tools to help you fill up. I know we used to have like happy hour play dates with parents and our kids at like on Friday or Thursday night with certain school friends. And I'm like, okay, I love hanging out with those people. And I know it's going to be a lot because my mind's going to be on my kids and I'm going to be trying to have a conversation with other parents. I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes before I go into the restaurant. I'm just going to park and I'm just going to, if anybody knocks on my door, I'm closing my eyes. Too bad. I'm going to refill my tank. So one thing, so for us is just to recognize what situations drain us, learning how to say no to certain invitations. All the invitations come. Do you want to do Friendsgiving with us? Do you want to meet up? Oh, this person's in town. Let me meet for a quick coffee. Learn how to say no and pick and choose and don't feel bad. You're being polite. You're being honest by responding, nope, I can't, or nope, I don't want to. So feel empowered and saying, no, don't feel like you have to please everybody else. The better way is thinking, I want to give the best version of myself to certain people and then pick and choose those appointments or maybe block out times. You know what? I'm food prepping all day on Monday. I don't want to meet anybody after in the evening or something like that. Then for people who are allies of deaf and hard of hearing people, our family members, our friends, be mindful of where you're choosing your gathering. Is it in a poorly lit environment, in a dark restaurant? Is it in a super noisy restaurant? Oh, I want to go see this. I want to go to this restaurant and they have live music. Oh, wait, but that might be really difficult for Michelle if she wants to have good conversation but can't hear over that music. I'm going to pick a different restaurant because what's more important to me is I want to catch up with her or prep her. What's more important to us? Like we already did our catch up. Let's go listen to music where we're not trying to do everything all at once. So being mindful of the environment that you're going to meet in, if it's noisy, if it's well lit, if it's accessible, perhaps maybe you want to go to a place that has good Wi-Fi so that person can use their phone for live transcribe. I've taught most of my friends how to put the remote mic onto their shirt, or I usually have it in the middle of the table with inside a cup so it can collect the voices. Turning closed caption on if we're going to watch a movie, or requesting services if we're going to be watching like a theater show, something like that. Also, just being mindful of like, hey, do you maybe if you're not sure, asking, hey Shanna, is this a good restaurant? Do you like the food and do you like the environment? I want to make sure that you're going to have access to us so that you don't have, we can lead into this, dinner table syndrome. Dinner table syndrome is described as like a holiday gathering and the conversation is going too fast or there's too many conversations going on, and that deaf or hard of hearing person just kind of shrinks back. They feel isolated, they feel left out, and they get further and further away as the conversation gets faster and faster and faster, and it's just so lonely. So holidays actually, many hearing people don't realize, are very lonely, very tough, and very discouraging for deaf and hard of hearing family members who aren't in a supportive environment, who don't have access to that communication and that conversation with these so-called loved ones that they want to hang out with.
Yeah.
So my house is busy. We've got little kids everywhere. We've got older adults with hearing loss. We've got me with hearing loss. I've got my husband who loves to have music in the background. He adjusts for me. My children adjust for me. If they want something, they know they have to come up and get my attention. But they
Mm.
also know if I'm having a conversation with somebody else, I'm not going to entertain their request. So I taught them, put your hand on me. I will respond. And this means I hear you, I see you. Hang on, wait till this person's message is over. And then I will give them my attention because they've discovered, oh, if mommy can't hear me and really pay attention to me, I'm going to have to repeat like 2 or 3 times. I'm going to save my energy.
It's
Part of the
saving them. It's
communication.
saving them repeat those
Mhm.
multiple repeats,
Because they
which is
get
exhausting for
frustrated.
them as well as us.
Yeah, right. They get frustrated with repeating. Then I get frustrated with them because then they're yelling at me and it doesn't sound like a nice, sweet request. So let's save our energy and communicate in tactile
Hmm.
ways, visual ways. Like they can just find water and I'm like, all right, got water. I can keep on talking to this person while I refill up their water bottle or open their water bottle. Great. We can multitask
Yeah.
that way. So my children get to grow up in a deaf and hard of hearing home because of me. And it's wonderful seeing them in different environments because they'll sign to me from across the room while I'm still talking to someone. I'm like, oh man, I shouldn't have looked at them because I should be focused on this person. But it just works. It just works.
Yes.
And
Yes.
also know that it will get better over time.
Hmm. And I've
You don't
noticed.
fail. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're not failing if, you brought them to a great, well lit environment and suddenly you didn't know about the live music that was going to go on. You can adapt and go with it. You can request, let's move to a different corner or outside where it's a little bit more quiet. Let's switch restaurants. So being flexible and also asking your deaf or hard of hearing friend, what are your access needs being met? What are your preferences? Let me learn so that I can keep on improving and keep on giving you great access to us so that you can truly be a part of our community, truly be a part of this conversation.
Wow. I think I've already got a great theme for this podcast. Everything you ever wanted to know about hearing loss, but were afraid to ask, just ask Dr. Michelle. I'm just kidding. No, you have adequately, more than adequately summarized what this lived experience with hearing loss deafness is like. And I'm picturing myself in the holidays because I love to cook and I love to bake. And a lot of times my family does not like to do that also. And so I'm not only hosting, but I'm cooking and I want to communicate with everyone. But with my hearing loss, if my back is to them, it's it's very
Not gonna work.
stressful for them. Yes. And so this will be the first holiday season that I've had my cochlear implant in
Okay.
my left ear. And I'm curious what that experience will be like when people start talking to me when I'm cooking. If I have to stop and look, or if I can multitask, because I don't know about you, but it's very difficult to multitask
In
when
the kitchen.
you
Yeah.
have to try so hard to understand what people are saying to you.
Yeah.
That the
Mhm.
action has to wait unless it's like something serious, like you don't want to burn the
Yeah.
roast. And you're like,
Mhm.
wait a second. And I'm always just, I've got my finger up, like that 1 minute finger
Mhm.
up
Mhm.
when my kids are in the middle of me, trying to take care of something very, very important that could keep us, fed or keep us safe. And they do understand. Of course, my kids are a lot older than yours. They're two are in college and one is in high school, and they've had that this is all they've ever known is having a
Mhm.
hard of hearing, lip reading mom who they have to repeat things to. And they also
Mhm.
have to be kind and respectful about that too, because
Yeah. Yeah.
my husband and I, we don't tolerate them being rude and disrespectful to
And
anyone, let alone someone who can't hear well.
part of it is your boundaries. You know what? Nobody in the kitchen while I make this one dessert because it's time sensitive or something. Or instead of, like your finger, just hang on, I got to get this roast out, hold your thought
Yeah.
or something. But what I would think is maybe if you have a remote mic, have it on the counter.
Hmm.
Or what I actually did is I put a car phone holder on the window in my
Mm,
kitchen. It's right by where I do dishes. You could put that up there and have live transcribe if you have an Android um, phone. You could glance over, like, what was that one word I missed? You could have, you could
mm.
prop it wherever is convenient for you. I actually like to cook without my ears. So my kids are like, oh, we're not allowed in the kitchen. We can't, mom can't hear us. Let's go ask dad. I'm like, a great idea. Go ask dad. You know what? Because he can do exactly the same things that I can do.
Yep.
And he always wonders, like, why do they always ask mom? Everybody asks you. Can they ask me? I'm like, I do it a special way. I don't know, because I'm mommy, but guess what? Ears off, go ask dad.
Good for you. Wow. Bravo.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the other
There's too
parent
many of
more
them.
involved
Too many
is just
kids.
is critical, especially the parent who has better hearing can
Mm-hmm.
be a lifesaver. I call my
Mm-hmm.
husband my hearing helper because
Mm-hmm. Well,
if
you know what?
yeah,
I noticed, like, I talk to him and expect that he hears everything I say, which I mumble sometimes,
yeah.
or I don't realize how much louder the background noise might be. And I don't get his attention before my message. So he's like, what? Like, oh.
Now he gets it, and now we get it too, and what the other
Mm-hmm.
person experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, I want to ask our final question,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the same question I ask other podcast guests, and that is, what is your superpower? What is something that you love to do, you're passionate about? Maybe it's something we haven't talked about on this podcast episode yet. What would that
Mm-hmm.
be?
I have two. So the first is empathy and relatability. I've noticed over my years of counseling families, I'm able to put technical and difficult information into easily digestible bites or easily relatable scenarios. Um, I That's how my program was created. I've had so many parents like, oh wow, now I know what it is like in my child's shoes. I didn't know how to relate to them when I explain it to them in a language or a scenario that they can understand.
Yeah.
So I think I got that from having my lived experience, but also going to school for audiology, somehow blending that in together into an easy to understand conversation.
Mm. Mm.
And I'm taking that gift, hopefully. When I started on my maternity leaves, I was like, how can I bring this to parents without having to meet with them one on one, only, limited to maybe 8 to 9 patients a day? How can I do that? That's how I created my program via videos and via my workbook, all of my content that I share freely on Instagram and Facebook and social media. My other superpower is culinary skills. I went through a rough patch of during life, and I thought I want to go to culinary school. Let's just go. It's the dream that I had always wanted to do. Didn't necessarily want to go that way for a profession, but learning about ingredients in a different way. Tomatoes can be salty, they can be sweet, they can be savory. So tasting a dish or creating a dish or a bite and figuring out what is missing. Is it salt? Is it umami? Is it bitter? Is it crunchy? Is it, texture? I love being able to go into friends' kitchens. And if they're hungry, I'll be like, let me see and figure out what I can make. What are you craving? Something salty, savory, dessert, what it is. What is it? And let me see what I can do with these ingredients. It's so much more fun to create something from limited ingredients. It's actually harder to create when you have everything that you need.
Mm. it's because it's overwhelming. You're like, where do I
Mhm.
start? But when you have
Mhm.
like three or four things, maybe
You're
kitchen
like,
staples,
okay,
whatever,
protein,
I'm totally
salt
with you. I love
source.
cooking too. I love it. I'm self-taught. I don't know about you, but I mean, you said you went to school, but maybe I'm sure you had the skills. A
Oh,
lot
I
of
grew up on like Food Network watching my aunt cook, and every time I'd visit her, she'd teach me a little something or give me a recipe that she created. So
yeah.
self-taught, but then funny enough, I didn't believe I was a good cook until I went to culinary school. For some reason, I needed, I don't know, schooling or someone to tell me that I was good at it.
Oh, Michelle, that is so extraordinary that you have these multiple gifts and that you're not only helping people with hearing loss, children, teenagers, their families, but you have other things that you do besides your day job and your social media work and your workshops and things. You have a life, and it's a very, to me, sounds like a very a full and fulfilling life. And I really, truly want to thank you, Michelle, for being my podcast guest and being on this episode today. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and thank you for sharing your experiences
Yeah.
living with hearing loss, too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this podcast to come out. And everybody, I hope you have extra happy holidays this season.
Oh, wonderful. And for everyone tuning in to this podcast episode, we wish you the best of holidays. And yeah, we are so grateful to have people like Michelle who are advocating for themselves, but also for us, and also enriching our experiences in the community. And so, from all of us with the Definitely Talking podcast here today, we want you to take care, and we'll see you next time.
Right.